Men chase, boys begin, but legends, they walk away. There's a quiet moment every man remembers, that first time you stopped reaching for someone who kept slipping further away. You didn't slam the door, you didn't beg, you simply stopped. And for the first time, the noise of chasing turned into silence. It felt strange, almost frightening, but also powerful, like reclaiming a piece of yourself you had forgotten. They never teach us this part. We grow up believing love is proven by pursuit, that if we just hold on long enough, fight hard enough, we'll earn the right to be chosen. Yet the more you ran after her, the smaller you felt. Each text, each plan, each late-night conversation where you tried to keep her interest alive, all of it fed something you couldn't see, her control. And somewhere along the way, you stopped being a man she admired and became a man she managed. But something happens when you decide enough. When you pull back your energy, your validation, your attention, your desire, the ground beneath her shifts. The version of you she thought she owned starts to disappear, and a different man begins to emerge, steady, sovereign, untouchable. If you've ever felt that silent turning point, drop a 1 below. If you've never dared to walk away but know you should, drop a 2. Your story might help another man reclaim his strength. Like this video so more men searching for clarity and freedom can find it. Subscribe to Stoic Station. Together, we help men break free from chasing and start living with dignity. Brother, start this journey now, because what happens next is where everything changes. Let's dive in. 1. The collapse of her control. Brother, the first shock a woman feels when you walk away is not love lost, it's power lost. The moment you stop chasing, the air between you shifts. She feels it like a silent earthquake, something invisible but undeniable. For years, she's learned how to keep a man close without fully giving herself. She doesn't need to fight, doesn't need to force. She feeds just enough attention, just enough affection, just enough validation to keep you reaching for more. And most men, desperate to hold on, keep feeding that control without realizing it. This is where so many men fall into the same quiet trap. They believe love means proving worth. They answer texts in seconds, bend their schedules, plan the dates, send long, heartfelt messages, and rearrange their lives to keep her happy. But each time they do, they trade a little more of their power for the hope of being chosen. It feels like devotion, but it becomes submission, and the more they give, the less they are seen. Picture a man in his late 30s who's been trying for months. He wakes early to plan the perfect weekend, sends thoughtful notes throughout the day, sacrifices work and friends just to stay close. She responds with a smile here, a compliment there, but never fully commits. He senses something's off but keeps fighting for validation, believing that more effort will finally make her stay. He doesn't see that his own striving has become the cage she built around him. Then one day, something inside him shifts. There's no announcement, no dramatic goodbye, no angry speech. He simply stops chasing. The texts stop. The calls end. The energy he once poured into her is reclaimed. At first, she acts unfazed, posting cheerful pictures, laughing with friends, moving as if nothing happened. But behind that polished mask, panic blooms. She whispers to herself, "No, he's always come back before. He'll text soon. He's just playing." Her certainty begins to crumble. Days stretch longer when the phone stays silent. Doubt slips in where control used to live. She starts to test, small at first. A casual, "Hey," a sudden like on his picture, watching his stories just to be seen. Each move is a probe, a question she doesn't dare ask out loud. Will he bite? Is he still mine? And every time he doesn't respond, another quiet fracture runs through the power she thought she owned. This is the unseen strength of walking away. It isn't childish revenge. It isn't manipulation. It's the reclaiming of dignity a man loses when he lives in someone else's shadow. By removing the constant supply of attention, you break the unspoken contract that let her set the terms of your worth. You stop negotiating for love and start standing in your own value. And here's what happens when you do. She can't stop thinking about you. Not because you begged or proved yourself louder, but because you finally stopped performing. Your silence becomes presence. Your absence gains weight. In a world where most men break within days and crawl back to the very power that keeps them small, your calm withdrawal feels different, unsettling, unforgettable. This is where the journey turns. The first cracks in her control are not about her losing love. They're about her losing the certainty that she could always summon you back. And when a man refuses to return, when he chooses his self-respect over approval, he doesn't just shake her confidence, he reclaims his own life. So remember this: the power of walking away is not about punishment. It's about refusing to be defined by someone else's attention. It's about ending the cycle that keeps you chasing validation you already deserve. Stay silent, stay grounded, and let your absence speak louder than every word you once used to plead. When you walk with dignity, you stop being an option and start being a man she will never forget. 2. The mirror. She fears. The loudest sound she hears now isn't your voice. It's the quiet, haunting echo of rejection she never thought she'd have to face. For so long, she lived in a world where options came easily. Men pursued. Attention was constant. Validation was something she never had to chase because it was always waiting for her. Rejection, that belonged to someone else's story, not hers. Until now. Until you stop chasing. Most women aren't prepared for the silence of a man who truly walks away. They're used to controlling the rhythm, offer a little warmth, pull back when things get too secure, keep him wanting, keep him working. But when you break that pattern and stop fighting for her approval, something inside her begins to shake. Suddenly the game no longer works. The rules she counted on stop giving her power. While she's wondering what happened, you're quietly rebuilding. You're not chasing. You're training again, reclaiming your health and strength. You're fixing the things in your life that once took a back seat. Your career, your finances, your friendships. You're living fully, not to prove a point, but because you finally remembered your own value. One day you post a simple picture at the gym. You're not showing off. You're just living. She sees it, and something inside her shifts. It's not jealousy yet. It's discomfort, the first flicker of doubt. Days turn into weeks, and the story she told herself at first, "He's just trying to make me jealous. He'll come back," starts to crack. Deep down, a whisper she's never allowed to surface gets louder. Maybe she wasn't as special as she believed. Maybe you didn't just pause, you left. And maybe this time, you're not coming back. That's when the mirror becomes a battlefield. She lingers longer, rethinking outfits, touching up makeup, wondering if she's slipping. She scrolls your page looking for signs, anything to prove you still care. Every woman who comments or likes your post feels like a quiet threat. Pride tells her to stay still, to look unbothered. But fear screams a truth she's not ready to face. She's being replaced. Your silence has done what no argument ever could. Words can be dismissed. Begging can be twisted, but absence forces reflection. By stepping back with dignity, you've created a space she can't fill with excuses. She's left alone with her own thoughts, and for the first time, she's forced to measure herself without your constant reassurance. A Stoic man doesn't plead to be chosen. He lives as though his worth is non-negotiable and lets others decide if they're capable of meeting him there. And now the roles have flipped. In her quiet, she is the one haunted. Not because you disappeared to punish her, but because you reclaimed yourself. You stopped asking for a seat at her table and built your own. That's the part she never prepared for, the freedom of a man who doesn't need her validation to feel alive. This is where the power of walking away reveals its true strength. It's not anger, it's not revenge, it's freedom. And freedom unsettles anyone who once believed they could control you. When you choose yourself over the chase, you don't just break her certainty, you force her to look into a mirror she's spent years avoiding. And in that reflection, she sees a truth more painful than losing you. She never owned you to begin with. 3. The desert after the rebound. When she can't reclaim you, she rarely runs toward healing. She runs toward distraction. It's easier to fill the silence than to face it. This is the part that catches many men off guard. They see her smiling with someone new, posting trips and dinners, writing captions about fresh starts and new beginnings, and panic fills their chest. They assume it's over for good, that she's finally found what she was looking for, that they've been erased. But what most don't realize is that the rebound is rarely love, it's anesthesia. It's not about connection, it's about numbing the wound you left when you stopped chasing. She will often reach for the first man who seems easy, eager, and available. Someone thrilled just to have her. He doesn't have to earn her trust or navigate her tests. He simply shows up at the moment her ego is bleeding and desperate to feel wanted again. Soon, her social media becomes a carefully crafted stage. Smiling photos, travel shots, romantic dinners, captions about rediscovering happiness. Every picture is meant to send a message, not just to the world, but to you. It's her way of saying, look, I'm still desirable. I've moved on. It's also a way of convincing herself that she hasn't lost her power, but the mask slips faster than she expects. The man she's chosen doesn't challenge her. He didn't have to climb to earn her affection. He simply arrived when she was vulnerable. There is no respect in effortless conquest, and she knows it. He doesn't command her admiration. He doesn't ignite her curiosity. The excitement that was supposed to heal her ego fades into quiet boredom. When someone is too easy to have, they're too easy to forget. She feels it sooner than she'll admit. That's when the night scrolling begins. Alone with her phone, she drifts back to your page. Old photos, your calm face, the life you're now building without her, it all returns. Memories surface, the mystery you carried, the quiet strength you never had to shout about, the man who walked away instead of kneeling. She compares the feeling. With you there was weight, depth, challenge. With this rebound, there's only sand, and sand can't hold weight. She traded a mountain for comfort, and now the ground beneath her feels hollow. Your power was never in trying to make her jealous, it was in refusing to play the game at all. True stoicism isn't cold avoidance, it's the deliberate choice not to compete in shallow arenas that drain your dignity. By stepping back and focusing on your own growth, you've built a life so full and self-defined that no one else can diminish it. That is what unsettles her now, not your anger, but your freedom. When the rebound inevitably crumbles, she doesn't just miss you. She faces a deeper, harsher realization. She gave up something rare for something easy. She traded challenge for comfort and ended up with emptiness. But by the time this truth hits, it's too late. You're not where she left you. You're stronger, more centered, living fully without needing her approval. And that is the quiet victory she never saw coming. The one that makes her wonder not how to win you back, but how she lost you in the first place. 4. The Stoic man's choice. Brother, the truest victory isn't in making her regret, it's in reclaiming your sovereignty. Too many men spend years living in reaction mode, measuring their worth by someone else's approval. They bend themselves to fit, hoping that by proving love enough times, they will finally feel chosen. But this kind of living slowly erodes who you are. It keeps you trapped in a cycle of chasing affection and negotiating for scraps of respect. We were taught early that strength means holding on, that fighting for what you love proves character. But real strength isn't about clinging to someone who doesn't value you. It's knowing when to step back with dignity still intact. That decision doesn't feel brave at first. It feels terrifying. Walking away can feel like stepping off a cliff into silence. The phone doesn't ring. The messages stop. You fear losing her forever. Yet with every quiet step towards self-respect, you begin building something more important than her attention. A life that no one can take from you. There's a question every man eventually faces, and it hits hard if you're honest with yourself. Do you want to spend years negotiating for pieces of love, or do you want to stand whole and free? The pain of letting go is sharp, but temporary. The pain of self-betrayal, of staying small just to be chosen, lasts forever. Too many men spend decades in that shadow, shrinking their voice, their dreams, their power, hoping someone else will see their worth. But worth cannot be begged into existence, it's claimed. Choosing the path of a Stoic man means mastering yourself before you try to master anyone's affection. Build your body. Hone your craft. Rebuild your friendships. Secure your future. Fill your days with purpose so solid that no one's validation can define it or take it away. This is not about cold indifference. It's about refusing to play games that keep you powerless. When your life is whole on its own, love becomes a choice, not a lifeline. The true power of walking away was never about making her suffer. It was always about ending your own suffering. When you grow beyond the need to be controlled or validated, you become unreachable, not because you're hiding, but because you've evolved past the game entirely. And if her thoughts return to you one day, it won't be because you begged to be remembered. It will be because you became unforgettable by choosing yourself. Brother, that is the essence of freedom, no longer chasing what was never meant to define you. The day you stop asking to be chosen and start living as though you already are enough is the day you reclaim your life. And that choice, quiet, dignified, unshakable, will echo longer than any plea you could have made. If this message reached you, don't let it fade. Claim it now. Like this video so more men searching for strength and clarity can find it. Subscribe to Stoic Station for daily lessons on silence, discipline, and inner power. In the comments, write this truth. I choose my freedom. 4 words that mark the moment you stopped chasing, stopped negotiating for love, and started reclaiming yourself. Brother, the power of walking away was never about making her lose. It was about helping you win yourself back. And a man who wins himself becomes untouchable.